And Sarah is an incredible realtor out of Eastern Canada, and you go by Sarah Brennan. Is that correct?
I do, yes.
Amazing. So tell us, like, I actually got licensed out in New Brunswick recently and flew out to go list that property with a co-list agent that I knew out there. And sitting in a restaurant with some people we'd met, they're like, "Oh my gosh, there's this amazing realtor out here, Sarah, who's like the helicopter realtor." And we're it turns out we're sitting with a pilot that's been flying you around to all of these properties. So, all right. So let's kind of go through. So when did you get started in real estate?
So I got my license the end of 2021, right after the big boom of everybody was getting into real estate. COVID had hit. The market was really good. I had wanted to do real estate for years, but it just didn't work for me previously. But I was sitting at, which is super cool, Up to Par, which is now one of my listings for breakfast, scrolling through Facebook, and up popped an ad for a real estate company looking for agents. And I was like, I think this is a sign. It's time I sign up and do this.
I love that. And
Yeah.
what were you doing previous to real estate?
I was an insurance adjuster. I also was a waitress, and before that, I was a pharmacy technician. So random, all over the place.
You name it, you've done
That's right.
it. Now,
Yep.
did you grow up out east?
I did. I grew up in St. Stephen, which is Charlotte County, so like really southern New Brunswick. And then I became a pharmacy technician. I came to Sussex, where I'm based out of now, to work a maternity leave at the hospital. Ended up getting married. That's another story, but stayed in Sussex, and I love Sussex. It has so much to offer. So yeah, always lived in southern New Brunswick.
Yeah, that is so cool. So you decide to get into real estate. You'd been thinking about it for a while. So how long were you thinking about it before you saw that come into your feed?
I would say like 5 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so what was it in that moment that finally had you in a place of, okay, I'm going to do it now?
Yeah, so I really loved what I was doing. I was an insurance adjuster at the time, but everybody in insurance is having a hard day, right? They've had a loss, right? And you're dealing with them.
That's a good point.
And it was getting harder and harder just dealing with everybody's emotions all the time. And a friend of mine at the time, he was working in real estate and loving his career and doing so well. And I thought, you know what? I think this is my time. And so when that popped up on the screen, I'm like, this is definitely a sign that it's time. My time has come.
And so you go and you get licensed, and then how did you go and get clients? Like, what was that process like, and how long did it take you?
Yeah, everybody asks me that. So it took me a long time. I started with a different brokerage than I'm at now, and they used to do meetings once a week. And so I was kind of just listening to all of the seasoned agents. I went to the awards gala. I seen what they could do. And I'm like, okay, so what are they doing that I need to do to get to where I am now? And what are they not doing that I can do that's going to push me ahead of them? So one of the things that people had suggested was to go not door knocking because of the times, but to go out and put your business card on the door with a sticky note that says, "Call me about your house." So my fiance drove me around, and I'm pretty sure I put out like 5 to 10,000 business cards in every door and mailbox I could find. I did mail outs. And people would call me and say, like, I can't believe that you put your card in my mailbox. Like, I did not say you could use my mailbox. It was like the funniest responses, right? But I kept telling myself that every no was going to get me to a yes. And I just had to keep pushing and had to keep working forward.
I
So
love
that's,
that. So the idea of every no is eventually going to get me to a yes, right? That is such an important statement you just made. Now, how much do you think that mindset had to play into your success that you've had?
a lot. I knew where I wanted to get, and I had go, I guess, and I had seen where these other agents were, and I was like, okay, so if they can do it, I can do it. I also worked for a multi-level marketing company for a short time years ago, and what I learned from them was that when you set an intention and set a goal and talk positively, like I learned about like the universal law and all of those things. So I was applying all of that at the same time. So it really matters if you have a goal. It really like it all comes in. It's you can't just wake up and think you're going to make it to the top, right? You really have to focus.
I love that. And what was the MLM company that you worked for back in the day?
Arbonne. Arbonne.
Oh, that's so great. Now, I
Yeah.
don't think, have they gone belly up
I
just
think they're
recently?
still going, actually. A friend of mine still
Okay,
has posts about it now and then. So yeah, I think they're still operating.
that's amazing. Well, at the beginning, like back at, I think it was like 18 or 19, I was exposed to Amway. And
Okay.
yeah, and actually ended up dragging my dad, who is like a very successful entrepreneur, right? It was pretty funny. Anyway, I wish I'd stayed the course with Amway. That was an amazing, amazing company,
Right?
amazing product, still strong today.
Yeah.
Okay, so you get into real estate, and so how many months did it take you to get to the point of like doing a deal, let's say?
So my first month in, I co-listed with my sponsor of that company. So that was my first deal. So that actually, I do believe, really like showed me, okay, how exciting it can be. So I did the deal with that agent at the time, and then it took me, I would say, 3 to 5 months before I got my own listing. Yeah, so I got licensed the end of August. I got my first listing like end of January. And I got it. We were actually looking for a piece of land for ourselves to build a cottage and drove past this place, and the guy was selling his own lots, like a whole development. And he's become one of my best clients who's referred me
Wow.
to other clients. Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe it's just luck. Right?
Maybe. I
Maybe.
think that like luck is you make your luck, right? I always say
Yes.
like the harder you work, the luckier you get. And your
Right.
intention was to turn real estate into a career. So that belief is kind of what gets you there, right? I
That's
love
right.
that though. That's cool.
Yeah.
So, how did you turn into the helicopter realtor? So you've been doing real estate now, you said so 2021, right?
Hmm.
And so how many deals would you have done in 2021? That was a very strong year we had.
One deal.
Wow. And then what
Hmm.
about 22?
2022, I did about 70,000 in commission.
Amazing.
So 10 deals.
Yeah. Well, and your average price point where you are operating would be lower than, say, the GTA. So what's your average price point that you're dealing in?
Like 300 to 400,000 would be an
Yeah.
average. Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. But you've kind of gradually worked your way up into the high-end luxury, right?
Right.
And so how did you do that for the agents that, are newer or have been working in, average price sales for a long time? How did you move into the luxury side?
So again, mindset. I decided that I didn't want to work. Like it's not that I don't want to work with low end listings. I still do tons of them, but I really wanted to get to the higher end listing point, and I wanted my marketing and media to reflect what we had to offer the higher end, right? So I started doing marketing on lower end listings that you would typically see on higher end listings. So that's kind of how it started. And
Brilliant.
then, yeah, again, mindset. And a goal. I've had a goal for a long time of where I wanted to get. And there's one other agent in the province that lists only high-end properties. She will not list low-end properties. And so I kind of followed along like what she was doing and what she was listing. And I thought they're definitely harder to sell here. Um, but yeah, it's kind of, I guess it's in what you want to do, what you want to put into your listings and what you can offer.
Right. And then how did this transpire with you starting to, use helicopters to get your listing?
That's a common question too.
Yeah.
Um, so Remax Quality had a agent on Campobello Island, and he lived there, and he dealt with all of the local people and all of the listings on Campobello Island, and then he passed away. So all the listings went back to the brokerage.
Mm,
So Then they tried to give them to another agent who didn't really want to travel. So they offered it to me. And I grew up in Charlotte County, which is Campobello is part of Charlotte County. So I was like, this is really kind of special to me, and I want to see what I can do with this. So but I'm like, how am I going to service Campobello from Sussex? It's a 3.5 hour drive if you time the ferries, right? So, or you drive through the States.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought about it, and a friend of mine is really good friends with Trevor, the pilot. So I reached out and I was like, do you have Trevor's phone number? I want to take on listings on Campobello Island, and I want to see if I can hire him to fly me back and forth. So I called him and he was like, oh my gosh, that's so exciting. I would love to do that. So we went the first time, and then we went a second time, and then it became thing with Campobello. They're like, are you going to fly in this time when you come back? And we've just built on it. Now we have people who say, can I have the helicopter in my listing video? Can I? So yeah, now we're known as the helicopter
Yeah,
agent. But
exactly.
yeah, it definitely makes it easier to service the whole province.
Yeah, no kidding. Now,
Mhm.
what's the cost for you, like to be flying back and forth, just a ballpark on what that cost is?
Yeah, so it cost me $1,300 a trip. So that's there and back, and it's about a little over 2 hours of flight time. So an hour there and an hour back. But if you look at it, everybody goes, "Oh my goodness, I would never." But if you look at the cost, your time is worth money. So if I can go to Campobello and do my deals and be back here by noon and be working on deals here, I'm actually making more money, right? Yes, it looks scary up front and everybody's like, "Ooh," but ultimately time is money.
Yeah, no, and that's so smart to kind of reverse engineer it to like, what is my hourly rate and how does this make sense? Not to mention the marketing piece with that, right? That's like freaking brilliant. That's why,
Right?
like, I gotta talk to this girl.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so you have kids as well. So how old are your kids?
I have a 12-year-old and then a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old, all boys.
Wow.
Hmm.
Wow.
I know. Busy.
So I was gonna say, so how are you finding that balance, like being able to do it all?
Yeah, it's tricky. I can work a lot from home. I have a fantastic staff that works for me on my team. So I have a marketing director and an admin, and then I have other agents under me. And so we're able to share the workload. So that definitely helps. But my fiance does a lot. He does drop off and pick up. He gets them to T-ball, and I show up to watch. Like without, he installs all our real estate signs. Like he's behind the scenes and nobody sees him, but he does a lot.
Yeah, that was like my husband at the beginning, just until we kind of got really rolling and then he stepped back and, focused on his career and other things. So, yeah,
Yeah.
that's so interesting. So, how big is your team now? Like, what have you built?
So I joined, Ted DeWinter and I joined together and made a team. He wanted my marketing skills and I wanted his years of knowledge. So together that worked really well. And then I said, okay, he likes to go away. I need help. So I started building the team. So we brought Crystal in Sussex. Then we brought an agent in, Jay, in St. Stephen. So he covers Charlotte County. We brought an agent in Fredericton, Mindy, so that covers that area. And then a girl that was my admin, Sam, she got her real estate license, so now she's here in the Sussex office.
Now,
Yeah.
how are you finding that? Like, how did you find these people other than your administrator? So, like, was it an intentional, we're going to go hire, and these are the qualities that we're looking for?
Yeah. So Mindy and I worked together when I worked for the other brokerage. She was same brand, different brokerage, but we had gone to a meeting at the same time, and that's where I met her, and we co-listed a property. So when I started the team, she was like, I'm joining your team." So it took her a while, but she came over. Crystal was a client of mine, actually. She was looking for a property, and she's like, "I think I want to be a real estate agent." So she took her course and here she is. And then Jay, I chased him down. It's like, I need an agent in Charlotte County. I grew up with him. I'm like, you would be so perfect for the team. And after a while, he agreed to come over too. So, yeah.
And what are you finding? Like, do you have sort of a set schedule or meetings, or how have you set that up to kind of, have that accountability or check-in?
Yeah, so every other Thursday at 5:30 we have a meeting, a team meeting. So we do it by Zoom for anybody not in the area, and then anybody in the area, we have them come to the office. So we do a check-in, we go over goals, we go over marketing, we go over what's upcoming, well, who needs help with what can we teach you? So it gives us a check-in. Sometimes we don't actually make the meetings because everybody's busy, but that is our ultimate goal is to every other week at Thursday at 5:30, everybody log in.
And what have you found? Like, are they bringing their own business, or is it your team supplying the business, or is there a percentage?
So it's, I would say like 75-25 maybe. Like they are bringing their own business. A lot of them are new, so they're just starting to grow and take off now. We do give them listings or co-list with them on some, especially when they first join the team or first get their license. Because, like I said earlier, I learned myself from that first listing how exciting it was. So, to give them the boost, we do co-list some with them, but they do bring in their own business. And
Yeah.
that's what we want to see, right?
Yeah, no, I think it's great. And you're giving them that initial kind of hit of dopamine with like, this is awesome, right? And giving them the juice to be able to keep going. So I think that's so amazing.
Yeah.
And so how are you finding the market out there, like where you are? What have you seen since 2021, since you joined?
Yeah, so it was very busy when I first started. People were coming in here from Ontario, making cash deals, no inspe it was wild. They were paying way over asking for things that would have sat on the market for months before, like based off of stats that I looked at. And now it's not. Like we're listing properties and they might be on the market for 30, 60, 90 days. We're seeing more price reductions than we are listings. It's the market has really shifted.
And how do you kind of manage that yourself? Because obviously you have a lot of expenses, right? You have a lot of overhead. So how are you kind of managing your mindset and then translating that to the team to kind of keep them motivated and going?
Yeah, so last month, every year around graduation here specifically, it gets very slow. The market almost goes dead. And everybody was panicking, like, oh my goodness, what are we going to do? I said, listen, just give it till after graduation. The market's going to come back. It does this every time. And somebody taught me this. Like, I didn't make figure this out on my own, right? I think it was Ted that was like, okay, calm down. It's going to come back. And it did. Like Friday night, since Friday night, my phone hasn't stopped ringing. But graduation is over and people are now focused on moving. So again, I think it's a mindset thing. Like keep pushing, it's a great time to be marketing. If you're not busy doing listings, then get out there, meet new people, go to the coffee shop, you know, use your time. It's not time to go on a vacation. It's not time to just sit at home and drink your coffee in the pool, right?
Right? Exactly. It's like the digging in. I think the
Mm-hmm.
digging in part's really important. So, are you still seeing, like with your phone ringing, is it a lot of people from other provinces moving, or is it more local people right now?
Local people. I have two clients coming from out of province, one from Quebec and one from Ontario. But other than that, right now they're mostly locals, just moving around. We did shift a little bit into more commercial as well, so we do specialize in farms. Um, but when the residential market slows down, then you really need to put your focus in. Okay, so that's not working. So what is working?
Yeah, no, exactly. You're 100% right. What is working? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's amazing. So, where do you see yourself like a year from now, 5 years from now? Are you intentionally building, or are you kind of living in the moment and just going with the flow?
So my therapist is going to say you're supposed to live in the moment. But intentionally building. I'm always building. I would like to get, we put out an ad actually last week. We would like to get 1 to 2 more agents this year. And within 5 years, I'd like to be at 10 agents and possibly own my own brokerage if, if everything plays out accordingly.
Right. And why 5 years, 10 agents? Why not 6 months, 10 agents?
Yeah, agents, so it sounds great, right? But they all need and you have like 50, don't you?
Yeah,
Like
we're just
or
over
more?
50.
Yeah. See, they need a lot of time and help. And so if I could get seasoned agents that wanted to come over, that know what they're doing, and have been doing it for years, that would be different. But to bring in new agents, which I find are more the people who want to join a team. Usually you don't get people that are seasoned, they don't want to join a team and pay the split, right? Um, they need a lot of help and guidance to get going. So 10 or 6 more of them all at one time might be a lot. That might be a lot.
Well, and I think it's also like as you sort of move forward. So I actually have someone that trains, like she's an Ontario teacher turned realtor and very strong residential commercial. So she trains and is running our boot camp. So it's like as you start getting bigger, looking at like who are the people I put in place to still leverage my time.
Mm-hmm.
So let me ask you a question. When we look at, do you know what a disc profile is?
Yes.
Okay, so 4 distinct personality types, right? D is a high driver, I is an influencer, S is like safety, that's like 75% of the population. Number one here is change. And then
Mm-hmm.
C is a small percentage of the population, which is like engineers and accountants, like highly detailed, right?
Yeah.
So where would you put yourself? Have you taken a disc, or where do you think that you would fall in terms of that kind of personality profile? Like, would you be, you're obviously a driver,
Yeah.
right? You,
DI.
you're a DI. Yeah, that's what I
I'm
would have thought.
definitely not in the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for you, it sounds to me then like you enjoy getting the listing, right? You enjoy like getting the client, and then it's great having someone else who also helps like service that client, right? To provide that consistent,
Yes.
experience. Am I
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And actually, you know what's interesting? All the top agents or people that are running really big teams, the vast majority of them are DI, right? Or like like DIC. Like they
Right.
have some detail there too. So that's cool.
Yeah.
So, what do you like to do for fun?
Everybody, that question always makes me laugh because I'm like, fun. Is there time for
Yeah.
that? But we ski in the winter. One of my sons does downhill racing, so we do spend a lot of time there. I like to be with my kids when I'm free and not at work. So I would say that's fun for me. I do love to travel. I figured that out last year, just at 35 years old, that I love to travel.
Love
So
it.
my marketing director and I are actually going to Italy in October. It's my first trip to Europe, so I'm excited about that.
That'll
That'll
be
be
so
fun.
exciting. And
Yeah.
why Italy?
Well, she's been to Europe before, and I was like, I really wanted to go to Rome, and we only have 10 days, so we're going to try to stay in Italy. Yeah, I don't know. That's just the first place on the list, and then we'll go from there. I would love to go to Finland and Lapland and like Norway, all those places at some time, but yeah.
What is your heritage like? Because usually most Canadians, you've come from somewhere else. So what's your background?
I know my mom's grandfather had a German background, but other than that, I don't know. I should
Yeah.
look, but
Just
yeah.
curious. Yeah.
I know.
No,
Yeah.
my mom's German. For like first
Okay.
generation from Germany, dad's from England. That's why I'm asking. I feel like you have like this kind of that European, even Scandinavian kind of look, which is
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
So something I love about you is your online marketing.
Hmm.
And you do this thing where it's kind of like a check-in over what's happened the past week.
Yeah.
So do you want to just explain a little bit for agents what that is?
Yeah. So that's something we've started probably 6 months ago, I would say. And we thought it would be really fun to show the public or the people on social media, what are we doing in a week? Because we're not just listing and selling properties, right? So what are we doing when we're not listing something? So I'm lucky again because Genevieve follows me around all day. So we have lots of photos. So it's a weekly wrap up is what we call it. So we just try to highlight everything from the week. So did we have a listing? Did we have a sale? Were we out doing marketing? What were we doing? What is the team as a whole doing that week?
I love that. And do you also go and, take your marketing person and kind of like follow people on the team with what they're doing as well?
Sometimes it's hard. She does go to St. Steve. She's been down to CJ a couple of times now. It's hard for her to go to the other cities. Here she can follow like Crystal and Sam around. That's not so hard, but to go out to the other areas with the amount of work she has. So hopefully we can add another one of her at some point in time that can travel around more.
Yeah, that's amazing. And
Yeah.
so cool. So where are you finding, like in this kind of market right now, where is your business coming from? Like if you were going to give advice to a new agent who's just getting started, what should they be doing to get out and generate business?
Most of my business is referrals. And you hear every agent say that, I'm sure, but it's the truth. And so in order to get referrals, you have to give really great service to the clients that you do get to work with and build a relationship with them. We are very relationship based. I'm not transactional. I kind of had set that in my mind from the beginning because we are a small town. So yeah, most of mine are referrals, and I go to the events that are going on, and I meet other agents in the company that can send me, and I've gotten a few this week just from other agents, and this is only Monday, from other agents in the province that have stuff here in our area that and they can't get here. So
I love that. So your big message there was attend events to get those referrals, right?
yes,
Um, Something I always say to our agents is warm and competent will always be paid more in any industry, right?
yes,
So you have a very warm, lovely energy about you, right?
yes.
What do you notice in the other agents around you who are successful? Like, what do you think those qualities are that help them make it, so to speak?
Yeah. So there's one agent in particular in Fredericton that I've followed for a long, you probably know exactly who it is. I've followed her since the beginning, and she's very outgoing, but also very kind. Like I've reached out to her a couple of times with questions, and even though we're not the same real estate brokerage, always happy to help, follows along on your journey. Like she's just kind and outgoing and fun, like approachable too, right? Like that's a big one.
Yeah,
So,
I love that.
yeah,
That's amazing. Now, how much of your business do you think now would come from social media?
we really need to track that a little bit better. Where we haven't really gotten to the point of tracking. I know G looks at the numbers of like how many more followers, how many posts, like how many likes, that kind of stuff. But as to what comes from social media, I don't have a figure. But I do know that we've built a presence in our town from social media. Like on the weekend, I was off with my kids camping, and people were like, "Hey, Sarah," hey, and they weren't even. We were in Woodstock, which is like 3 hours from here, so it's working, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Well, and I think, we have new agents on the team, newer agents who've like gone online. They're just posting on social media about, like, I am crawling in a crawl space. I'm doing this, I'm doing that.
Right.
And just from doing that, they're getting business. So
Yeah.
I think it's just important to showcase what it is that you're doing and not be that secret agent, right?
Yes.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
put it out there. Yeah, I love it. So, are there any like books that you've read that have influenced you? Um, Anything that you like would say to a new agent, go read this to kind of get going, or a
I
podcast you listen to?
Yeah, I would love to say yes. Again, I haven't made time for
Yeah,
any of that. I
you
have been
did.
so focused on building this.
Yes.
And I'm terrible at reading. I think the last thing I did listen to the audiobook that Mel Robbins just wrote,
Yeah.
and that was a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll listen to books more than because I can play them in the
Yeah.
car, right? Multitask.
Yeah, exactly. I do a lot of that as well. It's like,
Yeah,
yeah, just
I
finding
probably read,
yeah.
oh, so I'm
No,
cutting you
no, go
off.
ahead.
I probably read more when I did the Arbonne thing than I do now, and I've just carried that along with me.
Yeah, well, I think you can get the same out of listening to like online podcasts,
Yeah,
right? All of those things. So,
yeah.
do you have, I mean, you do have three kids at home, but do you have like a morning routine or do you have structure to your day? Like, how is your life?
Yeah, so I am up by 7 o'clock. I have some clients that are calling me like between 6 and 7 in the morning. If they're business people, they have things to do. They want to be done with me by 7. And then we get the kids ready, and Luke takes them to school or daycare, and I go to the gym 3 days a week. So I do that first thing in the morning, so it's done and off the agenda. Then I go home and get ready, and I come to the office. Once I get to the office, I have a schedule. It could go that way. It could be a free for all. It just depends.
Depends
But
on
I
the day.
try to schedule in the things that I need for self care and things I need to do to, you know, learn and grow first, and my kids, and then I build my business around that.
Yeah. So, what are the things? So, you said you work out, right? So, you
Mhm.
do that 3 days a week. What are
Mhm.
other self-care routines that you would have in place?
Um, I don't know.
I was going to say, like, as a mom of three
Yeah.
kids,
Yeah.
right? That's
Yeah.
not easy.
No, it's not. And even getting to those three, and I have a personal trainer, and only reason I have her, people are like, oh my goodness, like, couldn't you just go to the gym? I wouldn't go. But I have an appointment with her, and she's counting on me those 3 days a week. And so that's why I have her, because otherwise I wouldn't even do that.
Yeah. No, it's so
Mm.
good. Good for you. That's a major
Yeah.
commitment.
Yeah.
So, are there any last words that you would want to say to the agents out there that right now are maybe struggling
Yeah.
and, just looking at the average stats across the board? Is there anything you want to say to them?
So the first thing is you have to believe in yourself. Like you have to, set a goal, believe in yourself, know that you can do it because, without having self, if you don't have belief in yourself, nobody else is going to believe in you either. So I think that's the biggest thing. And then just you have to keep going. It's you're not going to get there overnight. It's not always going to be easy. But if you know when to pivot, like I said earlier, like residential's not great, pivot to commercial, right? And keep going and build relationships. Be kind and be approachable. Like I think that's really important too. Not just with your clients, but with other agents.
Yeah, no kidding.
Right?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
also like pick up your phone or
Answer your
respond to the agent, right?
That's
That's
helpful too.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
difficult sometimes getting information on properties because those
Mhm.
realtors, not all of them are actually interested in working, I feel like. So,
Yeah.
yeah, super fascinating. Well, what an honor to have you on. Congratulations on all your incredible success. I am watching you because I feel like you are just this incredible light that is going to draw all these amazing things to you. So
Thank you.
excited for you. All right,
Wonderful. Thank
everyone.
you for
So,
having me. Oh,
you're
sorry.
so welcome. Now, what are the social media handles that someone can get in contact with you at?
So on Instagram, you can find me as Sarah Brennan Official or the team as Signature Realty NB. I'm also on TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. I'm under Sarah Brennan Official across the board. So if you want to find me on any of the platforms, that's how you'll find me.
Sarah Brennan, guys. And I'm going to we'll have all that link information as well that will be out with this video. So, again, thank you.
Thanks, Jen.
Okay, just stay on for a minute because it's just going to upload.